The middle class of this country is disappearing. Not only is unemployment in real terms close to 15%, but median family income in the last 10 years has gone down by over $3,000. Meanwhile, in the midst of all that, we have the most unequal distribution of wealth and income of any major country on earth. You have the top 1% owning 42% of the wealth in America, while the bottom 60% own just 2.3%. In the last study that we have seen on income distribution between 2009 and 2010, 93% of all new income went to the top 1%, and the bottom 99% shared the remaining 7%. So you're seeing a disappearing middle class, people on top who are doing fantastically well, and very high rates of poverty. Now, I say all that as a prelude to suggest how we should go forward in terms of deficit reduction. And the main point that I want to make is that it is absolutely wrong, it is immoral in my view, and it is bad economics to move forward on deficit reduction on the backs of the elderly, the children, the sick, and the poor. And what we as a Congress have got to do is to make several points very clear. There are a number of folks out there talking about cutting Social Security. Well, let's get the facts straight. Social Security has nothing to do with the deficit because it is independently funded by the payroll tax. And let me quote maybe an unlikely source on that issue, and that is on October 7th, 1984. President Ronald Reagan said, and I quote, "Social Security has nothing to do with the deficit. Social Security is totally funded by the payroll tax levied on employer and employee. If you reduce the outgo of Social Security, that money would not go into the general fund to reduce the deficit. It would go into the Social Security Trust Fund. So Social Security has nothing to do with balancing a budget or erasing or lowering the deficit." End of quote. President Ronald Reagan, October 7th, 1984. I don't often agree with Ronald Reagan, but he is absolutely right. I am very pleased that just a few days ago, Majority Leader Harry Reid said pretty much the same thing. Don't mess with Social Security. It has nothing to do with deficit reduction. So I hope very much that the Senate will agree that as we go forward on deficit reduction, Social Security should be off the table.